All right. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Um, it's been about a little over a week, I think. I've just been busy with school stuff and life, basically. Trying to get everything straightened out and doing what I can for that. Uh, kind of slacked, and I've wanted to make some. I you know, just haven't gotten myself to do it. Uh, but today seemed like a day to do it. As I'm sure most of you are aware of the stuff that's gone on in Connecticut. Uh, and it's a tragedy, to say the least. But, my feeling has always been how you respond, how society responds to a tragedy uh, tells you more about that society than you could ever know. Uh, you can see the best and the worst in society through their reactions to things like this, and I've seen a lot of people, sending out, prayers and that kind of thing for the victims, and that's a good thing. Uh, I see people arguing about gun control, which is a dumb thing. That stuff pretty much has no impact at all on whether or not an event like this is going to occur. And I also see people talking about the crazy, which to me is a bad thing. And it's so soon and it's so early, and we know so little about the situation. What we know is that something awful happened, something that most of us can't even begin to fathom and can't even begin to imagine what it would be like to have to experience something like that. But you also can't understand what would drive a person to do something like that. And I saw a friend of mine made a post about it, and they said, when it's a student, in certain situations like that, you can at least kind of imagine what got them there and what got them to that point. But with this, there's nothing to go on. You don't know why someone would or could ever do something like this. And I know where this is going to lead. I know that it's going to come out that he probably has some very serious issues. He's probably been treated for it at some point in the past. Chances are it was against his will through a court order or something like that, and it's something that he never followed through on. And the reason that today felt like a day to do this is because when that stuff comes out, those of us who live with conditions like this, and people like me and myself in particular, we're going to feel ostracized again. It's hard when something like this happens, and when the news comes out, and when they find out what their actual mental state was, it gets really hard. And because and the timing of it for me, I've been doing these videos, and I've gotten such a great response from people because of them. And now I feel like as soon as I saw the story, the first thought I had was, well, so much for that. I don't get to talk about it anymore. Because it's happened in the past where events like this have fueled that hatred and ostracization for me and for my condition. We're not all taking time bombs, which is what the discussion is going to eventually turn to. people with mental conditions and mental illness account for 5 to 8% of all violent crime that happens in the country. And, you know, I talked about this a lot in the first video that I did, that the only time we talk about it is when these tragedies occur. And I know, at least for me and for the people that I'm around, we talk about it a lot now. I don't know if it's just because of doing these that it's made it easier for me to be more open about it, but, you know, I've seen the conversation change in those around me. But on a national level, I know what's coming. I know where this goes. I know where this leads. Which is a shame. You know, it's such a disservice to the lives who are truly, well and truly affected by this. Because right now there are parents out there who've lost their children for no reason. And to use that to change the argument is awful, because that's not where the argument stands. And just, I hope beyond hope that people remember through all this that what it is a tragedy, and it's nothing more than that. It is a tragedy. It is a terrible, terrible thing. But to those of you with conditions like mine who deal with this stuff, I know when you pulled up your Facebook and you saw the things people were saying, I know your chest got tight, and I know you got scared because of how people were saying it and how people talk about stuff like this. But do not let this be something that stops you from getting better. And don't let this be something that makes you ashamed of what you have and what you are and what you have lived through and what you have dealt with. Because it shouldn't stop us. And it shouldn't make us feel worse, because we weren't the ones who did it. We weren't the ones who pulled the trigger. We aren't the ones who did this terrible, awful thing. And we never will be, because the majority of us aren't. The vast majority of us aren't. To everyone in that Connecticut town that's dealing with this, I don't even want to say I'm sorry, because it doesn't begin to cover it and doesn't begin to encapsulate it. Just, for God's sakes, just be good to each other. And maybe just try to, we just got to try and get better every day. Things like this are always going to happen. There's always going to be a darkness and a meanness in this world that you can't really get away from. But it doesn't mean that we can't get better, and it doesn't mean that we will end up the same way. And it doesn't mean that that is what our life is destined to be. And, you know, I almost didn't make this video. But to stay silent now would go against my purpose for all of this. So, just know we are not defined by the worst of us. And that's not just those of us with conditions, that's all of us. Humanity is not defined by the worst of us, unless we let it. You just won't let it.